Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Heyo! Alright, we're back at NYCFC, man. We're back after the break. It's Monday nights, the USA Hour. Saved by S. I just got notification on my phone that Saved by S is a new subscriber to the channel. Welcome, Seba. Welcome, Seba. Exactly. We are back from a 5-minute break. The way we do it on Monday nights, we have 2 different broadcasts. So I'm glad you were able to find it. I worry sometimes we lose people between when we switch.
Well, it's like, especially when in terms of after the fact, not everybody likes Bundesliga and MLS, so we make it easier for people to. Also, it's kind of, it's a little breaks it up. We used to have these hour and a half plus shows. It's like too much. Who can listen to all that? So this is 2 shorter shows, and you decide how much of us you can tolerate.
That's right. You can curate it. Listen to us commuting to work, like our friend David Riccio said.
Yeah, 1
1
hour live, 1 hour in the car. It's good.
Wow, it's lovely, and we're available on YouTube, or we're also available in the podcast world.
That's right,
wherever podcasts are available.
So there's only one news in MLS this week.
Yep, and
nobody cares about the games. Nobody cares about Leo Messi's coming.
Leo Messi's coming. That news dropped the day after our episode released. It's like, well. We're the only U.S. soccer podcast that week that did not bring it up, so we need to play a little catch up. But Messi is coming to MLS.
Well, this was also kind of the rare occasion where Fabrizio Romano kind of had it wrong. I mean, he didn't
Saudi Arabia, right?
He didn't say definitively. I mean, he wasn't like wrong as in like he said one thing and then it was, but this was kicking around. The MLS people, the insiders, the intelligentsia, they've said that this was kicking around for years. The Moss brothers had been working Messi's team, and Fab Romano did not give it the time of day. He was like, it's Barcelona or Saudi Arabia,
right.
and so the American MLS people let him have it on Twitter. They were like, no, you didn't, and especially when he then started announcing it, they were like, well, you got this, you missed this one anyway. This just can't go down without the U.S. soccer fandom's inferiority complex manifesting itself in all sorts of ways. People are talking about this. It's interesting to me because I'm a relatively recent MLS intense fan, really, with NYCFC. I mean, prior to that, I would go to some games, but I didn't really pay attention, so I kind of did not really experience the Beckham situation. And that's what everybody is now bringing up. They're like, this is going to be similar to that, a transformative. So and I read the book, The Beckham Experiment, really, by Grant Wall, highly recommended, very interesting. So I read it after the fact, all the stuff that was happening. But I didn't live it, and you lived it.
I did.
So can you? I would love to hear your perspective. How did David Beckham transform the league, and what do you expect this to do?
Well, that's a good question, and it kind of leads to that little quiz I had for you, Bjorn.
Ah, okay.
So I will talk about that but let's start with this
First,
quiz.
we're going to start with a.
And then
Gonna start
we'll use
with a
that
quiz.
to talk
All right.
about it. And also, I want to mention Hans Wolf is driving through the pouring rain. Be careful. Fans congratulating each other. Love it. Hans Wolf. Awesome news. Seba S. Have a great time. Yeah, Seba is going to the game.
Seba is the Red Bull. Is the new resident Red Bulls fan.
A lot of people, especially in the Red Bulls forums, are talking about selling the tickets so they can pay for their season tickets. I guess I get that in economical sense.
This is how my friend put it. He's like, I hopefully I'll get paid back for 22 years of heartbreak.
But come, you're a fan. Go to the game. You're supposed to be. It's going to be a bunch of randos and strangers in that stadium. Just a bunch of Argentinians. Because, like you said, the U.S. soccer inferiority complex is in all sorts of ways. Let me explain the ways it's in. A lot of American fans are like, oh, about time, a real soccer player. All the foreign fans are like, oh, retirement league, bye-bye, or whatever. Like, everyone's trying, like, people spin the negativity on this every which way they can. You know, if Lionel Messi went to Barcelona, it would be a huge move. He goes to Miami, all of a sudden it's retirement league. Meanwhile, over in Serie A, you got Gigi Buffon at 45. You got Zlatan Ibrahimovic at 41. I mean, you got Edin Dzeko.
Well, Serie A is the true retirement league. That's been established.
No one will say that, right?
I say it every week.
Other than us, because we're reasonable American soccer smart fans. Us and our fans.
Okay.
Seba, Inter Miami, the worst team in the league. I watched how they are awful. I don't think Messi can save this team. That's also very
except that's another thing to talk about. If he brings Busquets and Luis Suarez with him, I don't know. Do you still feel the same way?
Well, I don't know. That's also the rumors. And people are like, that's crazy. It's like, well, he was linked to the team a year ago. It's not that crazy. But I think Luis Suarez signed a contract or so. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, I digress. Hans Wolf says I would hate every NY fan.
We are neutral. We're a neutral space. Yeah, I appreciate that.
You know what? You know what my philosophy is, by the way, on all that. Whenever I see U.S. because even on the Red Bulls Facebook groups and on the U.S. soccer Reddit forums, the fans just really go at each other, and I hate it. It breaks my heart. But it's like the fact that soccer is popular as it is, and we're all going to games, and just the fact that it's all happening should be something that we should be applauding and appreciating. You know what I mean? Like when Toronto and Montreal fans go at each other, it's like, just be happy you're in a successful, vibrant league and that it exists.
Yeah, the fisticuffs are unnecessary.
We're American soccer fans. We need to band together, okay? I can't tell you how many bars I've been to where they want to put the game on the TV, how many times they say our sport is a commie sport, we're a sissy sport, or it's not exciting, and all that and it's like, oh, soccer's boring, and all this anti-soccer.
Yeah, but there's no reason. I mean, there's no reason to defend yourself against that kind of thing. That's just, I mean.
But that's what we should. That's why it's cool that you find another soccer fan.
All right,
like, hey man, you and me. Hey,
no,
man,
I agree, but there's also, I mean, to a point, it's also a little banter's okay. It's not like, I hope everybody just has fun. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but like fun, like when the Frankfurt and the Mainz fans sing at each other, that's fun. They're not like fisticuffing.
Yeah, some banter. Some banter's okay.
Yeah, but anyway, okay, so Bjorn.
Yeah, the quiz
about Beckham. It's about Beckham, and this is my neck of the woods.
All right.
So in my mind,
okay,
there have been 4 monumental player signings in the history of American soccer. And there are 4 clear moments where there was a before and after. There was before and after signings. There's 4 of them. One I'm predicting. So the 4th one you can kind of guess what it is. But there are 3 in the history of American soccer. No, I'm saying American soccer. In the history of American soccer there were 4 major player moment signings that took soccer and brought it to the next level and made it mainstream. And like there was a clear before and after moment. Like if you could take American soccer last 50 years, and you can stack up these 4 players, and like there was a clear like ladder.
So, well, I'm wondering how far back you're going. I mean, Pelé has to be one of them. Is that the first or?
Ding 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 ding. Pelé is the first.
All right.
Summer of 75. NASL was a little league, right? The New York Cosmos were a tiny little club. Their star player was a Bermudan guy named Randy Orton. And then Pele shows up. He makes all this big money, and people are curious. They're like, who earned $7 million? We need to go see. And then the world, America, came out to watch soccer in the late 70s to the early 80s. And then soccer started becoming a very popular youth sport, and the rest is history. Now the league failed, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. We should be happy the fact that we have a league. That league failed. It was a fad. But without Pele, it would have not even been a thing at all. No one would be talking about it right now. Pele made it a footnote. And like I said, the 1990 to 1994 U.S. World Cup team existed because of the work that Pele and the New York Cosmos and the NASL did back in the day to go to the schools and teach the sport and yada, yada. So Pele is number one. Now, number two is going to be very tricky.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you're not thinking of Beckenbauer because he was really an afterthought compared to Pele.
Right.
Well, it has to be Lothar Matthäus for the Red Bulls.
The Metro Stars. The old Metro Stars. No, it's not Lothar Matthäus.
No, I was kidding. I did not think it would be.
However,
that was a pretty insignificant.
That could have been, like, that was the idea, but that was the exact opposite. That was like an example of that being a total blunder. But this one's going to be very unique. This one's a different one. This is sort of the surprising part of the quiz.
Okay.
I'll give you a couple clues.
All right, please. Yes.
It's in MLS. It's after Lothar Matthäus.
Okay.
MLS had a huge launch year in 96. They had their biggest attendances that year. Up. It had to delay a year. It was supposed to open in 95, but then the extra delay. And then, it's hard to start a league. And maybe it didn't have the biggest punch it was supposed to have when it started. So by 1997, people stopped showing up. Essentially, it was like they had quite a sophomore slump. And then by 2000, 2001, MLS had a meeting whether they need to shut down or not. Thankfully, they did not shut down. Phil Anschutz and the other old crusty owners put some money up, and they had a plan. And they built to what is today. But there was a moment before the DP rule that they had a big signing that broke through the mainstream media, and attendances were up, and it was in the news, and people were talking about it. And so that this was the second major moment in American soccer history.
So this is MLS. Yeah, this
2004.
is 2004.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not. So this is a later. So it's not Valderrama.
No.
It's not Marco Echeverri.
No.
It's not Rafa Marquez.
No, hell no.
No. 2004. Yeah, I was not paying attention in 2004. Like,
he is now a subject of podcasts and articles and stuff like that. He is an infamous player.
Sure. Well, he's not a foreign signing. I was thinking foreigners.
No, I didn't say foreign signing. I said player signing.
Oh, all right. Okay, so that was
he's the one domestic signing. You're right.
Oh, you're thinking of Freddie Adu. Sure.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. Freddie Adu's number two. Freddie Adu showed up. There was something called Messi Mania. The stadiums were full. Like, he was a story. Right. He was on MTV's TRL. When I was in high school, I was like the soccer guy, so I talk soccer. And in my film class, the film teacher was the soccer coach. And, typical American high school soccer coach, he didn't know anything about the sport or anything. He just coached the game or whatever. And he overheard me talking about soccer, and he had to be like, hey, what do you think about Freddie Adu? Because that was the national discourse at the time. 14-year-old, Freddie Adu was the talk of the town. And Freddie Adu was signed. Now, any real soccer fan knew that it was kind of like a big old bonkers-ass gimmick, and he should have gone to Inter Milan, where he was offered to go to the youth. You know how American soccer works, but
well, it was.
Have we learned all our lessons since then? No, but specifically at the LA Galaxy game, it was packed. The grass berm was full, and Drew Carey was there, and Will Ferrell was there. Will Ferrell came on the year.
Two of the biggest stars of the universe, Drew Carey especially.
They both became owners, Bjorn.
Yeah. No, I understand.
They both became owners. So, but what I'm saying is like that started with Freddie Adu. Like Freddie Adu made that happen.
No, that's a good call. I was thinking I was thinking about players from abroad, but that is a good. So that's number 2. So then you're thinking Beckham and Messi 3 and 4.
Bingo.
Okay.
You got it. Good job. You got the quiz.
Thank you.
Well, 75%,
I think
80%.
Yeah, the Freddie Adu, I need a little help there.
Yeah. Now this isn't a fact. This is just me.
No, but I think that's fair.
Yeah. So now, which goes.
I mean, Freddie Adu, he was also just a Fed. He did not transform the league because it was too much hype to live up to for a young person like that.
It was bonkers, and looking back on it, it was very irresponsible of Dunbar.
Yes, by all involved. It was very poorly handled. So that didn't.
No 14-year-old needs that kind of. That's not like let him go to a youth program. Like MLS exploited him as a marketing opportunity, and it worked for them. If it's worked for Freddie or not, Freddie had a professional career. He loves the sport. I think he coaches youth soccer in Maryland now. He had a great career in general.
It was fun. I mean, the podcast, we're just giving Grant Wall shout outs tonight. But yeah, his podcast series, what's it called? American Prodigy?
American Prodigy. Right.
It's very interesting. I mean, both of those things, for me, as a like I said, relatively new MLS observer, both of those are great, just interesting histories of the league, and both the Beckham Experiment book and the American Prodigy podcast are highly recommended.
So in 2004, like, do you remember the Freddie Adu stuff, like that breakthrough?
I remember. I remember that him. Yeah, I remember his name. I remember seeing the commercial.
Yeah, with him and.
But I mean, it was like.
So it broke through to mainstream.
Yeah,
it was the first time MLS was like national.
But it wasn't like. But same as with Beckham, it wasn't like. I mean, I wasn't that person. I wasn't like, oh my god, I got to go watch this league now. It was like, oh, he's 14. Like, let's wait a couple of years and see if this amounts to anything, and it didn't. And with Beckham, I mean, I'm not an England fan particularly. I did watch the Spice Girls movie, but that's about it in terms of my connection.
I did not watch this one.
My connection to the Beckham family.
No.
Oh, that was. I mean, this is just legendary. The Ali G. I don't know if you were an Ali G.
Oh, I saw that the other day. Him interviewing Victoria.
And asking them if their son, if he grows up, do they want him to be a football player like his dad or a singer like Mariah Carey?
Oh, Sacha Baron Cohen. Well, but so you asked me about the David Beckham time.
Yes, please tell me everything.
And the David Beckham time was number 3. That was like, I was in college. A guy walked up to me at the cafeteria. I always remember where I was. And he said, like, yeah, didn't MLS sign David Beckham? He's going to LA for $250 million, blah, blah. And I went, oh, no, that's not true. Because I didn't see the news. I was like, no, actually, that's not true. No, he's going to Real Madrid. Or so, I forgot what I said, but I'm like, no, that's not true. He just hosted the All-Star game. Because they've been flirting with Beckham for years. Beckham, I don't know if you know this, but David Beckham started digging the Real Salt Lake Stadium. He was there for when Real Salt Lake broke ground. I sure
did not know that at all.
The Real Madrid players were there breaking ground ceremoniously. David Beckham was the first, broke the ground of the Real Salt Lake Stadium. And then in the 2003 All-Star game, David Beckham was on ABC TV being like, this is the MLS All-Star Game 2003. Have a good time. They caught him at an airport. So, so MLS and Beckham, they've been trying to it's been a courting relationship. And then little did I know, Tim Langwicki pulled it off. He read some rules. He invented the Beckham rule, the now known as the DP rule. And they were able to sign David Beckham. And the David Beckham thing was a circus because on the field it was like David Beckham was good for the league because it forced a lot of growth and growing pains and stuff like it forced him to sign nicer hotels and fly better and also forced him to sign better players because the DP rule meant they could pay for Beckham, but then he was making $6 million a year, and his forward, Alan Gordon, was making $19,000 as an intern.
It's borrowing money from his girlfriend to
crashing on her couch.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and then I remember they got an over the hill Carlos Ruiz, then Landon Donovan. Like they tried to do their best. They had to do a lot of bending.
Bruce Arena talked about this a little bit in the press conference this weekend, which was interesting.
He signed 19 new players.
Yeah, that he took over after Beckham was there for a few months, and it was hot. He was saying it was difficult. The team wasn't good, and it wasn't going well. And then they got 19 new players, and then it went better.
This is the full story of that. So when David Beckham signed with LA, it was all like there was a big commercial about like he's coming, and I think this first game was a friendly against Chelsea or something. But he was injured, and they're just like fake. Like he was injured because soccer players get injured. So his big moment, he had to come off the bench and play and play for 15 minutes. And that's kind of why you can't depend on players, which sort of relates itself to the Messi news and all these sold out stadiums we'll talk about in a second. It's like he could be injured. You can't depend on a guy. You know how it's like in soccer. You can't really depend on you can't guarantee Red Bulls. Most of that team is injured. But like, and then the other thing, it was supposed to be part of national news, so SportsCenter was finally covering it, but they were only covering Beckham, so much so that they didn't even say the final score. They only, like, literally, this is how disrespectful ESPN was, and with the SportsCenter. They showed him on the bench. They showed him frustrated. They made a joke out of it, or they said he scored a free kick or whatever, and that is it. They didn't say who he was playing. They didn't say the final score. They did not cover the game. They made it very clear that it's Beckham coverage only. Only Beckham. No soccer, no MLS. So that's all they did.
So it seems like that's sort of what I'm wondering. Like if it's just if it's just one player, how is that good for the league? I guess all attention is good attention, especially when you're a fledgling newish soccer league like MLS is. But if it's really all focused on one person, is it really promoting the league, or is that just the backdrop for? Is it really just gossip? Are you just kind of following one person?
Well, but what Beckham was great for the league because on the field, on the field, no good. He was frustrated. He tried to leave right away and go to AC Milan for a while. Then he went to AC Milan. Then he broke his leg at AC Milan. So he was being paid, but he couldn't really play. And eventually he did win an MLS Cup right there towards the end. So I guess kind of salvage his on-field record. But, kind of like Rafa Marquez, he was just sort of getting fights with players. He wasn't really playing soccer. And he was just sort of hanging out. And I remember there was a report on how much he went to In-N-Out Burger with his kids and all this stuff. And, it was just a whole rigmarole. But the off-field stuff really helped. He propelled the league infrastructure to be like it's night and day, like off field, everything. Things had to get more professional. When they signed Beckham originally, they signed him with Ruud Gullit as coach.
Right.
And the big David Beckham signing came with him, his manager, and his company called 19 Management. So on the back of the step and repeat, you saw like a 19M. And then his masseuse was like giving speeches to the team. And the team is just like, who is this guy? What the hell is it? Then Ruud Gullit literally came in and says, I'm going to play sexy soccer. He'd never seen an MLS game before. He thought this would be an easy cakewalk. And like, he didn't really get the rules of the league. And then at the MLS player combine, he like famously he was there, but didn't even look at the game. He like walked off. People are like, he's not looking at the combine. And the combine was big at the time. The draft, the combine, those were all much bigger deals back then.
Where players, yeah, exactly.
It's where Clint Dempsey was drafted that year to New England. Ruud Gullit didn't see him. And, that all became a disaster. So they fired him. They got rid of 19 Management. Pretty much they reformed the Galaxy and they hired Bruce Arena and they gave him the reins they gave him the keys to the car. Mm-hmm. Like, you do. And that's what he did. And he fixed it. And there was a video, David Beckham put a video out on the website explaining why he's going to AC Milan. He's like, my body is not used to these long summers. I'm just going to be there for a couple of weeks. Don't worry, you guys. I'll be back. but he never wanted to come back. He was about to buy himself out of his contract with his own money just so he can go sign with AC Milan. Thankfully, that never happened and whatever. But so David Beckham was big for the league because of that kind of business contracts, facilities.
So just stuff. an up leveling of professionalism. And you think something similar is going to happen now? Because let's be real. I mean, just in terms of stature in the soccer world, like Messi and Beckham are not the same. Like Messi is a much different beast.
Messi was big because obviously of his Hollywood persona. Beckham was big because of his Hollywood persona.
Right. He was a celebrity in addition to being a good player. Yeah.
That's why this Messi signing is so cool, because Messi is a celebrity specifically because he's the world's best soccer player.
Yeah.
Messi is a famously boring person. He has no personality. He doesn't really speak English. And when you interview him in Spanish, it's one-word answers. He really has nothing to say. He's just a dude who plays soccer. He's like a soccer machine.
He's not married to a Spice Girl.
No, he's not married to a Spice Girl. But that's why we're at this new place. It's kind of similar to the Pele signing, where it's just his soccer playing is doing the talking, and it's big news. And he's gonna at 30. He also just won the World Cup. David Beckham was kind of on the way out when they signed him. He was 32 or 31, 32.
Yeah, I mean, Messi is up there in age, but he is still he won the World Cup. He was very productive for PSG.
He could go anywhere he wanted. Yeah,
right.
Messi could go anywhere he wanted.
Of course.
He could have gone to Bayern. They would love to have taken him.
Well, I mean, there's very few teams. I mean, he could go anywhere, but there's very few teams who can really pay the kind of money that he expects to make.
Exactly. But I think the word on the street was his wife made the decision, because Saudi Arabia was going to pay way more money. Even with this crazy 20% of Adidas, 20% Apple, all this
but
crazy
he likes Miami, right? I mean, that was never in question. It was always going to be Miami.
Right.
Unlike Ronaldo, who was in talks with Sporting Kansas City famously for weeks, which didn't happen, but I guess it was sort of a possibility, I guess, at some point. So yeah, it was always going to be Miami. He has a house there. He likes it. And I guess, yeah, if his wife has played a role in this. He's 36, right? He's turning
36.
He's turning 36. So yeah, he's Messi, so he's going to have a couple. And Sebas is saying how Inter Miami are the worst team in the league. I watched. Yeah, they are terrible. But Bruce Arena was saying they're better than the LA Galaxy team that he inherited when Beckham was on it. So their
because of the Beckham rules, they have 3 DPs now. There's Tam,
you can just imagine. I mean, there's all these rumors about Busquets and Luis Suarez and other pals that may come join the fray. And I mean, I'm sure they're going to find a way to be competitive. He's not going to want to be embarrassed. But it's not an easy thing, and it is going to take some time. He's going to be a target, of course. Every defender is going to want to, take him on, and he's not going to have a lot of help, at least initially. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I guess for me, having not witnessed the Beckham situation, it's sort of hard to imagine. I mean, certainly economically now, there's all kinds of the Red Bull tickets for that Inter Miami game are now like hundreds and thousands of dollars. You couldn't give them away.
All of his games are sold out. It's only resale markets. Yeah.
NYC. If we've already played Inter Miami and NYC, but the road game, already, the allotment, you can usually get road game tickets pretty easily from the club, but not for Inter Miami. Those are all gone. So yeah, it's there's a lot of interest.
Miami might have to move to Hard Rock Stadium, which would be interesting.
It seems like there's some talk that they're going to do that for some games. Yeah, so there's some initial interest. We'll see how that goes. Like, how much of it is he how much of that is going to sustain, like with everything. I definitely get now texts from people who are the Euro snobs all want in to the want to see him, and so there's going to be an influx of interest. Yeah, I guess it all depends on how this comes together, how he integrates, what the rest of the team looks like, if they can actually be good, and how much he has left, how much he wants to have left, and how much he's really going to engage in the end. Because we've seen this many times that there's nobody like Messi, but other people, this has gone different ways. Andrea Pirlo was good, was still was playing at a high level when he came, and he was okay, but he wasn't like exactly.
Moves like this mostly go from poor to average.
It's very There's not a lot of really successful. There's not, the list is short of people where you're like, wow, this person really hit. Like,
right.
I mean, David Villa, before he disgraced himself with his off-field behavior, but he definitely did well. And
what do you do off field? Remind me, is there something I'm missing?
Yeah,
was that with the physio?
Behaved poorly towards
the lady,
female physio intern. Yeah.
Okay.
And
but yeah, usually it misses like Rafa Marcos, like Lothar Matthäus. It is.
No, those are the list of misses is longer than the list of hits. I mean, who would you like
Douglas Costa? There's a warrant out for his arrest right now.
Oh my God!
Following that news.
But you mean even the greatest hits, the people who have really hit are not like necessarily international.
No, Sebastian Giovinco,
Sebastian Giovinco, Robbie Keane
are
not players that you would think of in that they're not in that echelon of the Villa, Pirlo, Messi,
MLS
of the world.
MLS is a dirty grinder league. It's physical because they don't have the technical skill that top leagues do, because the technical players float up. So they clobber you and they hop on your heels and they don't give you the space. Like in Latin America, you get more space. So for Leo Messi, as an MLS fan, just like you're saying, I'm very, very curious how the off the field is a slam dunk. The Apple TV subscription probably exponentially grew already. Like off the field, it's already a slam dunk. The jersey sales and buff. So it's a good signing business wise. However, he's saying the stuff that you shouldn't be saying. He's saying the whole I want to enjoy life more. I want to live in a football league. He's essentially talking about how he wants to not have the same pressure, and that's not exactly what you want to hear. It's from an incoming player.
Well, I mean, he did qualify. He said, well, he's still going to do his thing, but yeah, it's a very different. The vibe is very different, and it can and if you don't. If people don't approach it with the requisite humility, it can be disappointing, and then people kind of are like, well, this sucks, and then they check out. I don't know. It's going to be
in MLS. They're all going to run straight to his heels. They're going to hack the shit out of him, and he's not used to it. In Europe, they don't do that. They give him space. Here in MLS, they're not going to get space. So I'm curious.
No, he's been a target there too. That's not true, but.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. MLS is a very physical league.
Well, it's the focus is going to be even more on him, than it was elsewhere. But
however, he is world class. He never ceases to amaze me, and I would love for Messi to be Messi. I hope he plays a lot of games. I hope he's running. I hope he takes the ball and runs through defenders. And I want Messi to Messi say. I'm hoping that's happening, but I'm worried that definitely the fans, thinking that's going to be a foregone conclusion. And again, it's like we never saw Messi in England. He almost went to Man City. He never went to Man City. I was very curious what his Man City experience would have been.
What that would have been like. Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. Like at PSG, it's been, the Liga is not exactly the most competitive. So it'll be fascinating. It'll be fascinating to see. It's going to be a little, it's going to be a little annoying, I guess, that it's just all going to be focused on him. But it's going to be interesting.
I just hope this time when they show highlights, they show the final score. I think we've grown as a U.S. soccer society where it is about the sport now all of a sudden, That's what's so beautiful about this move. It's 100% his soccer. It's all soccer. There's no Spice Girl wife. He's a 14-year-old. This is the world's best soccer player.
It's just
here,
what
and
can
that's
you do
why
in
it's
the
big
field,
news. And even on Fox News, they're talking about him. The freaking moron there was a guy on Fox News who's like, at least Beckham spoke English, all that crap. Barcelona had to offer their thoughts.
Could always find something to complain about, I guess.
And Barcelona offered their thoughts. It's like, Barcelona, you're not involved. You don't need to release a. Jordan Laporte doesn't need to release a press statement saying that MLS.
Yeah. Well, that's like
you're not involved in the signing.
If you can't, I mean, he has to throw shade because he couldn't compete. I mean, couldn't compete financially
with Miami.
Financially, yeah, he couldn't.
David Beckham is a genius because he bought in this league at a discounted $25 million. And now he's got the biggest valued club probably in the league at like easily $600 million or whatever. However, do that. But my other conspiracy theory is that David Beckham was hanging out with Messi a couple months ago in Paris. Remember? I wonder if that was the pen to paper session.
Well, there's no pen to. That's the wild thing we haven't mentioned. There's no pen to paper. This is not.
What do you mean?
Official.
It is official.
No, I mean he said he's gonna. But he has not. Apparently, there's no.
I would put money that he signed this thing like 3 months ago.
No, there's no signed agreement. They're still negotiating. He has said that he's going, but apparently, the league was surprised by this announcement. I mean, they knew it was going in that direction, but this is not. And he said when he announced it, he said, "Well, it's not fully." It's not fully signed. I mean, it's obviously going to happen. It's not. But it is not. It's not official. So, I mean,
so this is my conspiracy theory talking though. 3 months ago, David Beckham was in Paris, and then Don Garber was asked about Messi, and Don Garber very openly said, "We will have to bend some rules. We have to do whatever it takes." He mentioned, "We're going to do whatever it takes to get Messi or whatever." Now, what that means to me, the way Don Garber speaks, is the agreement was already signed before he said that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said anything. That's Don Garber talking, in Garber talk, in business talk, which is like, we're going to have to bend the rules and we're going to have to be a little creative to sign a guy like Messi. To me, that means he signed that paper that morning. So again, I'm not behind the scenes, but with all this announcement, the news, there's no way they don't have paper agreements in place. There's no way stuff hasn't already been signed. I think stuff's been signed.
Okay, that's not what they're saying, but okay. You in the world of Stefan Schnitzel, Don Garber is the evil overlord who is who pulls all the strings years in advance. Tom just said I was muted. I was checking everything, but it was just him. That's okay.
I thought he was saying I cut you off, like I muted you.
No.
I do too much. I apologize. I'm glad it was just a technical thing.
It's just a technical.
So let's Tom. Pressure from fans and media is different. It is very different. Like
Don
in
Garber.
Brazil,
Don Garber hit the mute button. He controls us as well.
It's almost like Messi just by himself would bring it in. MLS 4.0. Yeah, 100% Hunsvold. I think this is the beginning of the next step for MLS. Like, this is the first time MLS signed a player the big clubs couldn't get. You know what I mean? Pele was 8 months retired, in fact. Freddie Adu was an American creation. David Beckham was on the outs. It was his biggest contract here in LA. Like, I'm sure he had other offers, but they probably weren't as impressive. Messi is in demand. Saudi Arabia offered him $2 billion for 2 years, Bjorn. The money they have over there is gross. And then Barcelona wanted him. Paris Saint-Germain could easily afford him. He had offers.
But he said money's not everything. He wants to live in Miami. Just another dig at Ronaldo. just for humiliating CR7. Yeah.
But if he signed that Saudi Arabia deal, he would have made like 3 times the money Ronaldo was making. That would have been the ultimate dig at Ronaldo, don't you think?
Yeah. Well,
he's
but,
like,
yeah, maybe.
he kind of saved his blushes a little bit by being like, you do Saudi Arabia, that's your league. I'm going to do MLS. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do my own thing over here.
Daniel Young is saying Messi will not play at Yankee Stadium or Citi Field. I don't know. Why not? Yeah, he's going to. My God, we're going to have a full house. We're going to have
at MetLife.
We're going to open the upper deck at Yankee Stadium next year. I mean, it's not going to happen this year. We already played Inter Miami, unless it's the playoffs. Who knows? Who knows? We're not making the playoffs. Let's be honest.
Hey, maybe.
But
one last thing before NYCFC. Jason Christ, there's a quote going online that Jason Christ, probably when he was the Miami when he was the Orlando head coach, whoever he was in 2017, said the worst team could sign Leo Messi in MLS and still be the worst team in MLS. He said that. So now put your money where your mouth is. Let's see. Let's see if he's right. Let's see if Messi can turn it in Miami around. Or Phil Neville, who was fired and immediately joined the Canadian coaching staff, by the way.
And Jason Christ was his assistant and also got fired. And now is in the American. What is this? That guy must have pictures of somebody having sex with a donkey. Like
American soccer is about
failing upwards. Tom is asking turf. No, Yankee Stadium and Citi Field both have regular grass. It's not.
But he's going to play on turf. That's a good question.
Going to play on turf? That was a question.
Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean Atlanta and New England, Charlotte, Seattle, Charlotte, yeah, those are all turf fields. Yeah, Portland. We will see. We will see what happens. Perhaps he won't. We'll. But I mean, Atlanta. It's going to be hard to resist. It's going to be 80,000 people in that stadium.
Gerardo Tata Martino zeroing in on that coaching job. That I think would be a slam dunk, because that would assure that it's heading in the right direction if they got Tata Martino. Because he's not just he's a great Argentinian coach who knows Messi and coached him before, but he's also an MLS Cup winning coach as well. He's like the best of both worlds. And he's designed players. So in addition to Messi attracting players, Tata Martino attracts young Argentinian players too. So it'll help with their recruiting. I don't know. I'm curious if Inter Miami will now be the best team in MLS.
I mean, I think not immediately. I don't think immediately. I think it's gonna be like Beckham and the Galaxy. It's gonna take them a little while to figure it out. They're not gonna go from worst to first in a couple months. I think this year, unless they trade all their DPs and bring in Busquets and if they bring in Busquets and Luis Suarez on TAM deals, then that changes everything. So if he brings other people with him, that could turn things around quickly. But if it's just him, I think I sort of agree. I think there's gonna be some growing pains. By the way, before we change subjects, I want to again apologize to Daniel Young for not making our appointed T-shirt handoff meeting at the last home game. I'm very sorry. I had some other stuff going on, and I did not make it. But we will try this again.
How dare you spurn our fans that way?
Daniel
Young.
I felt
as I realized, my witness, you will get your T-shirt.
When I realized what I had done, yes, it was as if I had been struck by lightning with the realization of my error. Anyway, there were some games going on. Despite
not for the New York Red Bulls, we had a bye this week.
You had a bye week. You made some time for the Messi announcement. NYCFC. The NYCFC. There were a lot of goals. There were a lot of very good goals, and a lot of them this weekend. However, not at the NYCFC game. That
Lucas Celarayon's half court shot. What's that called? A half field shot. It's going to be a goal this season. It's got to be.
That was pretty cool.
Because it was at the end. It was a winner. It was a winning.
It was a winner. Stoppage time with her. Daniel Young, you weren't there either. Oh my God, this is such good news. That's such good news. I did not stand you up. Glad to hear it.
13-page paper. What was the 13-page paper? Is this for school? I guess. Assuming, right?
He said he had a new job.
I know.
Right? Is this something that you're doing for work, or you're going to school at the same time? Anyway, we will find out. We will find out later. What were you saying? Oh, the lots of
Lucas
goals.
Illaron,
Lucas
great goal,
Illaron.
but NYCFC scoreless draw against who was it? New England?
Scoreless draw. Well, Nick Cushing did what no other coach before him could do, which is get a point in Salt Lake City. We had traveled there, I think, 3 times and lost all 3. So this was a step up. And if you are a glass half full kind of guy like I am, Daniel Young is also getting a master's degree. Congrats. That's amazing. Good luck. If you're a glass half full kind of guy, like I like to think of myself as, there were certainly some positives. The biggest positive is Luis Barraza, our goalie, had a really good game, made the team of the week, kept the shutout, had a bunch of good saves, and this on a night where Sean Johnson lost Toronto 2 points with his sort of annual blunder. Like, Sean Johnson is a great goalie, but once or twice a year he has one where you're like, oh, what happened there? And this was it. It was a late shot right at him, and he just let it slip through his hands, and then did his the other thing that Sean Johnson does every time. Even then, sort of limply raised his hand, kind of claiming something offsides.
He pushed me. Foul.
Made some appeal to somebody to be like, stop. No, please. This couldn't have happened, but it did. And so that made me feel good about our new goalie on this night, who hasn't done anything wrong, but has kind of, he's a new guy, and so he had a great game. And in general, the makeshift defensive back line kept the shutout. Because we had 0 center backs playing in that game. We had, Tony Afauer, I guess, counts as one, but he is really not a starter. And he was complemented by Jimmy Sands and Justin Hack, who are really midfielders. And so that they kept the shutout was great. Having said that, RSL should have won that game. They had a bunch of really clear-cut chances and couldn't convert. So some positives, but also still a very dire. We still haven't won in nine games. So here we are.
Yeah. Here we are. LAFC got trounced by Houston Dynamo over the weekend.
Yeah,
and then they're gonna immediately play them again on. I'm going to the game on Wednesday night. They play Houston Dynamo twice in a row because the MLS scheduling committee is so great.
It's exciting. Salt Lake. Yeah.
LA Galaxy tied St. Louis 1-1. Their post-Klein era is going okay because they lost Chicharito to the season.
I heard that.
Injury. Yeah. So they're without him, but they're still pulling off results.
That was a pretty lucky from St. Louis. Could have easily won that game. But yeah, Philly lost in San Jose. There isn't really... I mean, Cincinnati dropped some points. Cincinnati's been really but it seems, but having seen them, I think they're going to come back to earth. They're not going to run away with the supporters shield. They aren't really, though. All the teams, nobody's really running away with anything this year.
No, but Sporting KC turned themselves around. They've had a couple of good wins. I think they've strung together a few good wins. They had a 4-1 win over Austin over the weekend. Columbus with that late.
Yeah, in the ultimate irony, Kyrie Shelton scored a goal.
Former Paderborn superstar.
Former Paderborn legend Kyrie Shelton, NYCFC's first ever draft pick.
Yeah.
Scored a goal, and we don't usually miss him, but I can think right now he would be our best striker.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think what we're supposed to do with our extra point. New York Red Bulls and NYCFC are 17 games in. It is officially the season's halfway done.
Yeah.
Apple TV is offering a half-off subscription package to see the second half of the season. So New York Red Bulls and NYCFC both at 17 games. NYCFC at 18 points. New York Red Bulls at 19 points. Oh, boy. God, what are we going to do with that extra point? We have this whole extra point all to ourselves. Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty
I'm
good.
glad.
Huh?
I'm glad you're feeling smug. Yeah, I mean, you beat us.
I don't know what it's
so.
like to be down at 18. We're at 19. Huh? We're up here at the 19 level. It's pretty sweet. I'll tell you that.
I mean, there are some teams in there. If I look at the East and the playoff teams, Cincinnati, Nashville, Philly, New England, probably Atlanta, Columbus, they're all going to be there. I guess Orlando. Right. Orlando has 26 points. How did that happen?
And they have a game in hand. With a game in hand.
With a game in hand. So I guess there. But then after that, there's 2 spots that are definitely available. DC, Montreal, Charlotte. Like this is all.
Yeah, that's for all of us. That includes you and me. Literally one win. We could be in a play. Either NYCFC or the Rebels could be in a playoff spot after the next match day. Could be.
No.
Right? Well, we could. Maybe not you because we got that sweet-ass extra point.
You can't either because you don't have the tiebreaker either. You only have 4 wins. You have a bunch of ties. So you could not. You can't either.
Whatever.
2 yeah. But I mean, that's. If you win 3 games in a row in this league ever, then that's going to make a big difference. And but we haven't won.
Feeling it.
We haven't won since April. I still, anyway, I say the same thing every week, so I don't have to say it again. I still believe in our team. I believe in our coach. We're going to get a number 9. He may already be in town, I heard.
Really? Who is it? You don't mean Antoine Griezmann on the subway, do you?
That'd be good.
There was a photo of Antoine Griezmann on the subway.
No, I don't mean him. So yeah, I mean, it's still, no one's out of it. You're not, we're not, because there are still a couple of open spots. I got to pay attention more. I didn't realize, if you had asked me how many points Orlando has, I would have said 20 or 20.
26 with a game in hand. Something's brewing down there with Bosco Pereja in
That's
Orlando.
Impressive.
I'm just waiting for someone to sign Luka Modric. Maybe Real Salt Lake. Sign Luka Modric, the anti-Messi, right?
He's not coming.
The Real to Real, right? The Real Madrid to Real thing.
No chance.
The funny thing is, Inter Messi. Leo Messi had a big offer from Inter Milan, and Inter Milan is suing Inter Miami over the name. That's been an ongoing legal dispute for a while.
Oh, so this could be part of the settlement if he plays a couple games for them.
Maybe. It's just funny how he chose the new Inter over the old Inter, which is Inter Milan's embarrassing for them. Cool. All right. The only other thing is, I guess we have much time, but the USA versus Mexico is this week. It'll be fun. We'll talk about it after the fact. I'm debating on. I shouldn't go because I need to save money, but I might, if I'm feeling extra spontaneous, I might actually go to that game. It's in Las Vegas. I get a comp room that night. I saw tickets online are $60, which is very reasonable for a USA-Mexico game. It's a doubleheader. I love driving out there. But I'm going to the LAFC game on Wednesday night, and I'm probably going to be tired. And I need to save money. So we'll see. There's a good chance I won't be there, but I will be there in spirit. If not, USA plays Mexico. Go USA. We have the Gold Cup roster announced today. It's a more domestic.
Jimmy Sands is on the roster. We can't really afford to lose him, but I guess happy for him. Last time he played 450 something minutes the last Gold Cup, and the team gave up one goal from open play when he was on the field.
Let's hope for it again. I was at that Gold Cup final with the Miles Robinson got that last-minute header. It was, I hope our USA, I hope the dominance over Mexico continues. So let's go, Yugs. Let's go, Yanks, with our new Florian Balogun, our new secret weapon. All right, this has been the USA Hour.
Just flew by this hour.
Oh, it just flew by because Messi Mania is set to begin. I am really looking forward to this Messi stuff. I can't wait to see. It's going to be a new article every day.
It's going to be messy.
I can't wait. It's going to be messy, baby. Hey-oh! Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. And yada, yada. We got merch. If you're a fan, we got
the Etsy shop. The mugs, Etsy. Man.
Sip yourself some hot tea. Okay, cheers. Bis nächste Woche.
Tschüss.